Hi everyone! I get asked a lot about weaning, and I haven't really done a video on this before because weaning is such a unique individual thing, but I wanted to talk today about the process of weaning. When you're talking about weaning, it's really meaning you're trying to decrease your milk supply to any given capacity. Now, how you wean, how quickly you wean is dependent really on you, your baby, your unique goals, where you're at in your stage of lactation, and how much milk you're making. But to really truly understand weaning, all you really need to do is understand how milk is made and maintained. So the way that the breast works is the more you empty, the more milk you'll make. The less you empty, the less milk you'll make. So when you're talking about weaning, the goal is to leave milk behind. The more milk you leave behind, you're telling your body, hey, I don't need this milk, make it go away. Now, everybody has a unique storage capacity in their breast. That's how much milk they make and maintain in the breast at any given time. And Nancy Mohrbacher coined this amazing phrase called the magic number. The magic number is how many times in 24 hours you need to move milk to either maintain milk, increase milk, or decrease milk. So your magic number is different. It's unique to you, your body, and how your milk is made and maintained. But when you're talking about weaning, you're basically talking about what is your magic number and how do you then cut back on feeding or pumping to leave milk behind to tell your body, hey, stop making that milk. Now, again, there's lots of strategies for weaning and I'll talk you through a couple of those different strategies. So one strategy is you're feeding and you're pumping along, and one strategy is just to reduce the amount of milk that you move at each of those feeds or pump sessions. Obviously easier when you're pumping because you can see that volume and you're just reducing how much is pumped at each of those sessions. You can do that. It can really take you as long as you want. You could reduce by a half an ounce each feeding for multiple days or weeks, and then another half ounce per feeding multiple days or weeks. Or you can cut it a little bit more drastically depending on your body and how quickly you want to wean. Another method of weaning is to try to collapse your pump or feeding sessions down. So let's say you're breastfeeding and pumping 8 times in 24 hours. What you would want to do is then collapse it into 7 pumps or breastfeeds in 24 hours. And then you're collapsing it into 6 feedings in 24 hours, etc., etc. Now, we know how the breast works is that for most people, it takes 4 to 7 days of a consistent new routine to shift your body in any direction. So if you breastfeed less for 4 to 7 days, your body will say, hey, whoa, slow down production. So the first couple days, your body's still on that train. It still has that faucet turned on to make a certain amount of milk. It's trying to feed the baby, remember? And it takes about 4 to 7 days, again, depending on your unique body, to see that supply then shift. So for most people, I recommend a gradual approach to weaning when possible, because again, it takes some time for your body to adjust and shift down. Doing a gradual wean helps reduce the risk of plug ducts and mastitis, where milk sits there too long. But obviously some people are like, I need to really quickly wean. I have to go on a business trip. I'm just done. I'm over it. There's other things going on. I have to go back to work. So really when you're in a quick wean, you're trying to leave as much milk behind in that breast as possible without feeling uncomfortable. So for a lot of those families, it's pumping to volume and collapsing sessions. So you're trying to go as long as you can between feeding and pumping, and then really only moving enough milk to feel comfortable. Now, while you're in that process of knowing how milk works and trying to move as little milk as possible to tell your body slow down milk production, there are some other strategies that can also help. Number 1, gentle lymphatic drainage massage. I preach this all the time with plug ducts mastitis, where you're just doing gentle lifts of the breast, going up and down, side to side, around in gentle circles. You're doing that, dumping the bucket of the breast into your armpit, into the lymph nodes above and below your collarbone. I have a very specific video on my YouTube channel for lymphatic drainage massage for the breast. Milk is a fluid, so we're trying to get that fluid to reabsorb through the body instead of sitting stagnant where it can cause inflammation. That would be plug ducts and mastitis. So when you're trying to wean your milk and you're feeling that engorgement or discomfort, gentle lymphatic drainage massage is really step number one. We're trying to get that inflammation, the extra milk to move out of the breast. Step two is ice. I love ice to reduce inflammation. Icing can really help stop and slow that flow of milk when you're not moving it as frequently. It can make it feel more comfortable. It can help reduce inflammation and engorgement. Step three, or technique number three, it sounds really funny, but it's cabbage. So we know that in green cabbage, there is an enzyme that helps reduce making milk. So a lot of times when you're trying to quickly wean and or you're feeling engorgement while you're weaning, if you go to the store, buy a head or two of green cabbage, cut the end off, crush the little stem in the middle and make yourself into a coleslaw in your bra. That enzyme in the cabbage can help reduce inflammation and help you wean your milk. What you would do is, if you're really trying to wean completely, you would leave those leaves in until they wilt, and then you would change them out for new leaves. You can change them out as often as you want. If you're not trying to wean that fast, you could just use them once or twice a day for 10, 15, 20 minutes. They can feel really good when they're ice cold out of the fridge. Now, let's say you don't want to turn yourself into a coleslaw. There is a product called Cabo Cream. It is the enzyme found in green cabbage leaves that you just take a little of this cream, rub it on your breast, and it has the same action. And yes, this actually does work. I have seen this work for multiple patients. Only thing with this is it's expensive. It can be like $30 for this little tube, but it works. So if you want to be discreet, if you don't want to have a coleslaw in your bra while you're trying to wean, Cabo Cream can be really great to help reduce the engorgement and inflammation while you're trying to wean that milk. Then the last strategy that can be found, there's two more strategies. One is supplements and herbs. We know that there are herbs that help increase milk and there are herbs that decrease milk. Herbs that help decrease milk are things like parsley, licorice, and sage. Sage is one of the number one herbs out there that we use to help decrease milk supply. You can drink sage tea, or there are actual herbal supplements out there. This one's called No Flow by Pink Stork. There's a couple different brands that make these No Flow herbal supplements. Always check with your healthcare provider. Make sure that you don't have an allergy or intolerance to those ingredients, but there are some herbs that can help. The final, most drastic would be to take a pharmaceutical to dry up your milk supply. Now, this is what most people will commonly find helps decrease supply. When you have a cold and you're sick, we say stay away from those antihistamines because those dry up milk supply. Antihistamines like Benadryl and Sudafed will help dry up supply. Now, I legally can't recommend for you to take a pharmaceutical. That's out of my scope of practice. There are people that will use pharmaceuticals as a last resort if they really need to quickly wean. And some people I have also heard will take something like the estrogen-based, hormone-based birth control. That one, again, will drastically drop milk supply very quickly. Those would obviously be interventions and strategies that you would need to talk to your primary healthcare physician, your OB, or midwife about if you need to really drastically drop and wean your milk supply. So those are all the big strategies. Again, least invasive would be your lymphatic drainage, trying to leave milk behind at every session, and icing. Those are the most common strategies. Again, it depends on where you're at in your stage of lactation for how long it can take you to wean, and it really depends on all of the additional strategies for how quickly you need to wean based on how you're slowly reducing milk volumes, how you're slowly spacing out those feeding sessions. Now you know.